Today's episode of the Camp Buell podcast sponsored by HomeNukeKit.com. Why settle for videos and diagrams when you and the kids can learn about and construct your very own working bathtub nuclear reactor? Enrich the included uranium ore right in your kitchen sink.
Daddy, my head hurts.
It's fine, honey. I'll open a window. Then fire up your reactor right in your bathtub and enjoy countless hours of fun.
It feels like my skin is burning.
I'm sure it's just your allergies, buddy. Do you have what it takes to keep the reactor online, or will you experience a meltdown and contaminate the local drinking water for many generations to come? Pre-order yours before the holidays at HomeNukeKit.com. Enter code CampBuellPodcast for your second kit absolutely free. The Camp Buell Podcast. Conversations with interesting people.
Oh, wait, back up. And he was like, oh my God, you're serious.
This is really going to happen.
Yeah.
It's totally worth it to go after your dream. I guess I just want people to be inspired.
Right.
My mom gave me the most brilliant advice that I've ever received in my life. It is actually the cornerstone of what I was able to.
I only want genuine interaction because I don't know how much time I have here. Maybe that's my own mortality.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like 41 years old and I'm like, I think a lot about death because I talk about it every day. That's probably why.
Well, that's true. I mean, you are forced to...
Welcome back to another episode of Camp Buell Podcast. It's been a while. You guys are wondering if I'm even up to this anymore. Truth be told, I've actually been recording a decent amount through the spring and the summer this year, and I'm just really falling behind on actually editing the stuff. So I finally set aside a little time and wanted to put together this next episode. This is with my buddy Chris Cloyd. Chris and I have worked together over the years a lot. You're gonna see, we'll get into a little description of exactly how we met and our memories of those first couple of conversations. He's just an interesting guy. Guy's got an encyclopedia mind, and it applies to WWE wrestling and horror movies of all combinations. You're gonna see pretty quickly why I like talking with this guy so much. Super fun, very interesting guy, great stories to tell, just all around, man, this guy is awesome. So let's get on into the episode and just see what you think.
Darius, thank you for this, brother. Hey,
Cheers.
whenever you're ready, let's do this.
Exactly. Cheers.
Cheers.
Good to get this done.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it long enough.
Oh yeah,
It's it's good to finally sit down
yeah.
and make it happen. Oh goodness. So I like leading with all these episodes sort of off with where I first met people. Mm-hmm. You go kind of like Curtis. You go a little further back than most of the guests. So I know it would have been work.
Yes.
Was it Chicago? Was that the first time, or was Baltimore the first time? I think it was Chicago.
Baltimore, we get close.
Yeah, that's when we had our first long conversation.
Yes.
Was in Baltimore.
Yeah,
But, it was that hotel lobby, or maybe even on the van to the hotel in Chicago. I'm pretty sure that was the first meeting.
Darius, I knew there was something special about you, brother, because one of my buddies, Matt, in the yard, he said, who's that dude over there with the fancy cargo pants?
Yeah.
And I said, you mean the only guy that's got a good attitude? Because it was really disgruntled.
Well, yeah, and in all fairness, that was after a big merger.
Yes.
Where lots of people had seen their seniority basically shrink in a big union shop. So people did have valid reasons to not be in the best mood.
Oh, yeah.
It was that they'd gone through some shit, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, it's a good job. It's decent employment.
Yeah.
But it has not been going smooth for the previous couple of years.
Right.
For most of those guys. So yeah, they wore it on their sleeve that they were not in a good mood on a typical day.
There was a lot of hard feelings. And it seemed like he was kind of like maybe the new guy on the block.
Yeah. I came in
fresh,
just happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have a seniority issue because I just hired on last week.
Right. And at first, I was kind of like my buddy Matt. You know, I'm like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this dude. You know, but that positive attitude, and that nice attire was enough to say, hey, you might want to introduce yourself to this guy.
Yeah.
Well, going back to your original question, we was all in line up in Chicago. Up the Chicago Heights hotel they put us in.
Yeah, and I think it was a particularly full van that day.
Yes,
So it was a big line of us in the lobby waiting to check in. So we had some time to kill.
Had some time to kill, and a little cheap plug from my buddy Charlie Wyatt. He was up there.
Okay, was he there on that? Was he on that same van?
Yeah,
with us.
Yeah. It was all three of us, and if Charlie hadn't been there, I'd have probably BS'd with you more.
Right.
But we have a short conversation. But to speed things up, Baltimore though is where we exchange numbers.
Yeah.
And from that night on,
because it was just the two of us.
Yes.
In that room, and that was
we were
what
the only
changed
ones out of Cincinnati.
Is we didn't have the additional people that we know to talk to. It's like it's just you and I, and we know that we're both out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So then we started really talking.
Yeah, you had your Harrisburg alumni, probably, I don't know, Buffalo, Charlotte. I don't know if they could,
right?
But it was definitely foreign drivers.
Yeah.
And we just seen each other. Oh, hey, yeah, man, you're at Cincinnati, right? That kind of deal. And that was like 11 o'clock at night. And we get out the gate 12:31, and here comes the big conference call.
Right.
And then it's been cool ever since.
Well, yeah. Then we talked. Basically all night, which was not uncommon.
Yes.
We just never done it with each other.
Right.
We had our own little circle of friends that we would generally talk to all night while we're driving.
And just a little side note, I used to love to talk on that phone with all you awesome drivers.
Yeah.
Nowadays, somebody do my deal.
Yeah.
Y'all do your deal. Have fun.
That is the only downside of now being able to hold down day shift. Having that level of seniority is awesome, but day shift work does not lend itself well to yapping on the phone for 10 hours.
Right.
Because we tend to be in and out of the truck way more often, dealing with customers way more often. So we can't just settle in and yap for 3 hours holding the steering wheel.
Absolutely.
That you just don't get to do that on day shift.
And my dad, he was the same way. In fact, I did more talking on the phone than he did.
Yeah.
They'd always want to go run in a pack.
Of course.
And Dad say, "Hey, you boys just go on, and I'll see you down there on the other end."
Yeah. I'll catch up.
And so I kind of got that from him, but no, I did a little more talking on the phone than Dad did. But a lot of times it was in essence to just keep you, we thought, awake and alert.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I mean, it and it's better for you than all the other ways we all typically stayed awake. Some guys are just pounding caffeine and sugary drinks all night.
Yes.
Other people are munching on finger food, whether it's pretzels or chips. Just the action of feeding yourself keeps you awake. And of all of them, just yapping on the phone tends not to put the extra pounds on.
Yeah.
The way all the other bad habits do.
I know, a lot of people, also, I learned this from my dad. Shout out to Jim Cloyd if you're watching or listening.
Yeah.
Talking takes oxygen.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you lose a lot of oxygen. You're going to get sleepy.
Yeah.
So it can backfire sometimes. But you're right. For most folks, it seems like you get a little chatter. I think with me, it was the stories from the guys on the phone that damn near, it was just funny.
Yeah.
The Charlie Wyatt's the world.
Of course.
Bill Bannigan, God bless him. My big country. Sean Carter, he'd get on there. But whatever anytime one of us had problems, a lot of times, just wallowing around in motels. You remember that? Waiting on the phone to ring. Whatever one driver had wrong or thought they had gone wrong.
Right.
One of the other buddies, their deal was really jacked.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you kind of you hate laughing at your buddies, but their stories was so bizarre that you're like, man, my night's not too bad.
Sometimes, you're right. Some of these guys have some stories.
Absolutely.
That just, you're driving down the road and like your jaw is on the floorboard.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my God, this guy is, not only is the story crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm happy or sad that he's just willingly telling the story.
Right.
He's just sharing it. Like, he's not even embarrassed. It's like, my God, if that was my story, you fuckers wouldn't hear it until like 10 years later.
Right.
I'd be so embarrassed at the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys will just tell you a whopper of a story, and it just happened last night.
Yeah, right. And the king of all of them, and those guys, if they're hearing this, they'll agree. It was Charlie White.
Yeah.
Charlie White's, if Charlie White's here, then there's the rest of us.
Yeah.
And a lot of his stories, it doesn't matter if it was factual or not.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It doesn't matter. We're having fun.
It was some good stuff, and
they were exactly really the kind of stories that drive Acacia nuts, because she hates it when I start getting loose with the details and embellishing. And she's like, well, that didn't happen. Right. That's not how that happened. And I just feel like, but that's how, like, when we're all bullshitting on the party line, especially when we got 8 or 9 drivers on the line.
Yeah.
That's every story. Like, we're filling in. Like, you guys know it didn't actually happen that way. And obviously, I blew a few of those details up, but come on, it was funny, right?
It sounded good, yeah. But so big shout out to Charlie. I mean, Charlie's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he's...
Yeah, I never had
awesome.
any long conversations with him, but you used to relay his stories to me. And, I'm just floored.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. Just a whole nother league of... entertaining you.
Yeah.
In his own way. But,
That is awesome.
Yeah, buddy.
So that's how that's how we meet. And then we're talking regularly after that one night.
Oh, yeah.
Leaving Baltimore.
After Baltimore.
And we I think we did Baltimore to Charlotte, didn't we?
Yeah.
I don't think we came home.
Yeah,
they sent us both down
Charlotte.
south.
Yep. Baltimore to Charlotte.
So then from there on, we were periodically checking in with each other. Hey, man, where are you at? Oh, I'm over here.
Absolutely. And, you was, there's a handful of, cats that was helping me out with my ex-girlfriend. Mm-hmm. I was, me and her,
That's right.
We had a little friction. Some would say,
to put it mildly.
But folks like you and Big Kurt, Matt Stevens, Bill Bannigan. Once again, a lot of the same people we talking about.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of phone time and a lot of time allowed to let me vent.
Yeah.
And every one of y'all and more that I'm not missing right now at this moment. Really helped get me through that as well.
Yeah, just kind of we could bounce ideas around, and if nothing else, it let you vent and just tell the story.
Yeah,
and get it off your chest. That here's what I'm dealing with at home.
Absolutely, and but yeah, man, it's but yeah, you're in that group.
Yeah,
there's a handful of buds. You're on a hand, brother.
Yeah,
and just. I don't know. It's been a good ride.
Yeah. Oh, it's been fun.
Hopefully be a whole lot more years, man.
I'm glad we stayed in touch then after that, because we had different jobs then for a while, and then now we're back working together again.
Right.
And it was through all those late night conversations that we sort of get to the subject of, honestly, like, why I most wanted to do this episode, and that was your just endless knowledge on both WWE wrestling and the horror movies. And I mean, we all know somebody probably who's into those things.
Right.
But we don't necessarily know someone who is like a walking encyclopedia on those topics. That you don't actually run into that often. And when we would get on those subjects, dude, talking for 5-6 hours straight at night, like I was always floored at how much, I mean, you're referencing dates and release dates and directors,
right,
and just going into way more detail than I do when I talk about something like that. And I was like, my God, this guy knows his shit.
Yeah, and a lot of that I got to got to thank my cousin.
Yeah.
Dwayne Barton. Now he will hear this.
Yeah. So I think you've told me before that he's the one that sort of first opened your eyes
to
like
a lot of the pop culture. I was introduced to what was him. On both horror films and wrestling.
So which one came first? Do you remember?
From what I remember, the horror.
Okay.
Because
so probably he's like suggesting a couple movies early on, like, hey, you ought to watch this, see if you like it.
Yeah, he was we didn't have no brothers or sisters, no siblings, and so we and they lived about 4 hours away.
Okay.
From me and mom and dad, and we just get together. I can't even remember because it's so long ago.
Right.
I was about 5 or 6, and my mom, God bless her, she'll also be watching this, Kathy Cloyd. Mama was pretty strict.
Yeah.
And, but also probably what a lot of parents did back then didn't get to see, had watched the bad language.
Yep.
And nudity.
Yeah.
That was a no-no.
Yeah.
But the one that mom allowed was horror.
So that didn't bother her.
No, and I was thrilled.
Yeah. It gave you an outlet of here's something you can watch that's sort of racy, and it doesn't break the rules with mom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she was encouraging it.
Right.
But she's like, well, this ain't so bad if Chris wants to,
if he likes being scared by a movie, well, then cool.
And the first one that really scared the bejesus out of me was probably Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Okay.
And
refresh me remember, on sort of the highlights of that one.
Yeah, that's the third rendition. That's Part 3. My cousin, I remember we was at this video store, little video store in Houston, Missouri, and he said, Chris, he said he'd already seen him.
Yeah,
he said I think this is gonna be kind of scary.
Yeah,
and he's about 12 or 13. I was 5 or 6.
Yep.
And he picked up Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1. He skipped over Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and picked up Part 3. And I said, wait, we watched Part 2. And he said, well, it ain't no good. Years later, I'll find out he's right.
Yeah.
It blows chunks. I mean, that in Part 5 is the worst Nightmare on Elm Streets there is.
Okay.
But 1, 3, 4, 6, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
And then Freddy versus
solid.
Jason.
Yeah.
They're legit.
Yeah.
But when you're 6 or 7 years old and you watch Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, buddy.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it had to be terrifying.
Mom, once again, if you watch this, it's the puppet one.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's psychological terror.
Yeah.
That's beyond dreams. But yeah, no, Nightmare 3. The gang's all back. Wes Craven did the first one.
Yeah.
And he didn't do the second one. The second one didn't do anything but some laughs.
Okay.
It's
And is that was it a different director?
Different director.
So maybe that was just that dude's vision.
Yeah.
He was going for funny.
Yeah.
More than scary.
Yeah. Yeah. But, spoiler alert for anybody that doesn't know, Freddy typically haunts you in your dreams.
Right.
Part 2, they bring Freddy out of the dream world.
Oh, gotcha.
And now he isn't so scary when he's running around this lake.
Yeah.
Unlike my main man, Jason Voorhees.
Right.
My favorite horror one. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But part 3, Wes, I think he helps produce it or he writes the script for it.
Okay.
And they bring back our heroine from part 1, Heather Langenkamp, Nancy.
Okay.
So she's back.
Yep.
From part 1, and now she's trying to help these youth or teens that are having real troubles in life. They're like not a mental hospital, but a psychiatric ward, kind of deal. And what makes part 3 so good is, man, it just works.
Yeah.
Especially seeing it younger. I mean, I'm not telling any youngins, go out and have mom and dad rent Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, but your average parent today would not let a kid that old watch those movies.
But yeah, man. But that's my first one that I'm like, not only is this scary,
it really got you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that leaves an impression, man. The first couple of times that a movie really scares the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Like you remember that for the rest of your life.
You remember it. And I did have some, I don't know if they were years of nightmares. Okay, most of them was about Freddy.
Yeah.
But I don't blame anybody on that one.
Yeah.
That's just that went along with it.
Yeah.
It was no big deal. But my love of horror, unlike wrestling, is still to this day.
Yeah.
So that's 87. I don't know. We're talking 34 years.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And like wrestling, it definitely has its ups and downs.
Yeah. You've explained to me many times in the past that there are eras,
yes,
where it's just like nothing good's coming out,
right?
And then it gets good for a while, which I guess is like a lot of different genres of movie. That there are going to be dry spells where either people don't have the ideas, or I guess what's probably more likely is the gatekeepers at the studios are not greenlighting what the good stuff. They're just they're for whatever reason choosing garbage scripts for a while.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, we can get back on horror later if you want.
But
I was just gonna say, with wrestling, they had the steroid trial with Vince in about 94.
Yeah.
And of course Hogan, everybody knows the name Hulk Hogan. He went over to the competitors.
Right.
Right after that time. And like year 95.
Yeah.
It was terrible for WWF and WWF at the time. And their competitor WCW.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a decent chunk of time there where even, because I've got other friends like yourself that are really into it in general.
Yeah.
But they weren't there was a period there where they weren't talking about wrestling.
Right.
It just never, they obviously weren't even watching it. And these were like the hardcore fans. So that tells me like it probably just, the writing stunk for a while there.
Yeah, nobody's drawing any money. I mean, my cousin, his favorite at the time, I think it still is, was Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
The excellence of execution, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You had Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, arguably one of the best wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
Don't ask Dave Meltzer. Meltzer says he doesn't make his top 50, but he's just a dirt sheet writer.
Yeah.
He don't know his head from his behind.
Yeah.
But he knows more about it than I do. But Yeah, and you had the dead man, The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. He goes into this year's WWE Hall of Fame.
Okay.
It's going to be in Dallas, Texas. It's going to be a 2-night spectacular.
Yeah.
For WrestleMania. Can you believe it's 38 now, Darius?
Oh my goodness.
38 of them.
8th.
And the first one was in Madison Square Garden in 1985.
Yep.
And Vince McMahon, the promoter.
Yeah.
You've heard of Vince. Man, he put it all on the line for that first WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I mean, mortgaged that just everything. And if it wouldn't have worked,
He needed that to work.
yeah, wrestling would be totally different today.
Yeah.
Without that. And 38 WrestleManias, man.
Yeah, that is incredible, man.
And it's should be a pretty good card.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't. Stone Cold Steve Austin's last match was at WrestleMania 19 in 2003,
Yep.
and
I didn't realize it had been that long
Yeah.
until you recently said that. And
Yeah,
I'm thinking, oh my God,
19
it has
years.
been that long since you saw him on ads and whatnot.
absolutely, and he's just my favorite. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Nobody close. When I was a little kid, Ultimate Warrior was my favorite.
Yeah, yeah,
And man, that music, it's just
yeah, yeah.
dun 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 dun. And it didn't matter what it just didn't matter.
Yeah,
But we go from that to Austin's music.
yeah,
Dun 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 dun. And when you hear that, Darius,
yeah,
just like they're gonna hear in Dallas, April 2nd. There's gonna be 100,000 people
yeah.
going bonkers.
Yeah.
At that AT&T
When
Stadium.
he comes back. It's
gonna be awesome,
So are
man.
tickets already sold for that? How does that work? Or is it one of those where you can still get tickets close to the end?
Believe it or not, tickets are still available.
So they are.
This is a post-COVID deal.
So when they announced that Stone Cold is going to fight, there had to be a spike in ticket sales.
There was.
There has to.
And it's got to be post-COVID is the reason.
Is the only
the
reason
fans,
it's not sold out already. Yeah.
Because WrestleMania is. It used to be about the main event or the matches.
Right, of course.
Brother, folks will just go to WrestleMania and won't even know who's on the card.
Yeah, just to be there.
Yeah, it's the Super Bowl of that industry, no doubt about it. It's so spectacular. It's just fantastic. But yeah, why it hasn't been sold out has to be due to COVID fears.
Yeah.
Because Stone Cold, well.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like he's got so many
awesome.
older fans.
Oh, yeah.
That were of our generation.
Yeah.
That were so into him. The idea of him coming out of retirement and making an appearance has got to convince a lot of people that maybe weren't the type of person that would have gone to WrestleMania before.
Right.
Suddenly sit up in their chair and be like, oh, actually, if he's coming out of retirement, that just brings back such good memories for me. I need to be there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, you had Hogan in the golden era. As I think they refer to it. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Him and Andre at WrestleMania 3, 93,000 people in the Pontiac Silverdome.
Yeah,
that to me is outstanding.
That for our generation. I mean, that sort of sums up all of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
In one memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Hogan and the Giant and a WrestleMania. It's okay, that's like quintessential WWF at the time memories.
Yeah. I mean,
if you had to wrap it up into one match, it'd be like, oh yeah.
And we were talking about when to start with the horror. I remember seeing highlights from WrestleMania 3 in 1987 on, I think, a Fox affiliate.
Yep.
I believe Fox had just started.
Yep.
86, 87 around there. And once again, my cousin would go to the video store.
Yep.
And, there'd be like the 2 discs for WrestleMania 4.
Right.
And now, okay, I've got that going. I've got some scary movie action going.
Yeah.
That Nintendo.
And so
Nintendo's going.
Now you're getting just fully absorbed into both of them at that point.
Oh, yeah. And, man, it's just, I don't know. Horror and
But it's interesting to me the level of detail in both of them that you got into, the directors and dates and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people who say I like action movies don't mean at that level of detail.
Well, I appreciate
They just
that,
mean
man.
I like watching them.
Right.
And then for some reason, you must have the mind where I'm guessing your other interests, you probably go in on a similar level of detail.
Yeah.
Probably because it's more that's the type of person you are.
Yeah. I mean, I look back and I was super nerdy. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, of course.
But I was pretty fun and cool as a kid, but as an adult, pretty boring. Yeah, but yeah, about like you saying earlier, folks our age, video games and
Yeah.
See, I had to quit that years back.
Yeah, I did too. I think we've talked about this before about how at a similar age, it just kind of got to where like, all right, the games are getting a lot. They're cooler,
right?
And the graphics are amazing, but they're also getting a lot more difficult.
Absolutely.
And I'm getting older to where I don't pick the new games up as easily anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like now it's starting to be kind of work.
Right.
Because I'm getting to the age where I just don't pick these things up as fast.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of a chore to get a new game and try to get good at it. Right. Whereas it came naturally as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
You just sat in front of it for a few hours and you just got good at it.
Yeah.
And it's like now it's so complicated.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is even that fun anymore because it's such work to get good at it.
Yeah. Darius, I never owned an Xbox.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And I don't put down products on this
no.
or anything. I couldn't stand their controller.
Yeah. I didn't think it was comfortable and it didn't come to me naturally.
There's nothing easier than the old NES.
Oh, yeah.
Control pad.
Yeah, the original
button.
Just up, down, left, right, B and A.
Yes.
And if you kept it that simple, it meant you could figure the game out in a few minutes. Who cares if you lost the instruction booklets? You'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Super Nintendo added 2
Yep.
above A, B.
Yep. And the whole left, right with your index fingers.
Years later, Sony PlayStation, they add just one more on top.
Right.
Couple toggles here.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
I can handle that. After the PlayStation 2,
yep.
I was done with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely done. I do a little Wii occasionally.
Yeah. The Wii I like.
That's kind of fun.
We fire that up once in a while and play it with the kids.
Right.
Because that's such an awesome one for when you got huge like adults and kids trying to play together.
That's good exercise.
The Wii is hard to beat for that.
A good exercise gets people up going. It's awesome. But yeah. So the video games ended, man. But the horror and now the wrestling took a dive on my list.
Okay.
I missed out on the years 2008 till about probably 2015.
Okay.
I mean, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Friend of mine, Iris Boone, she would say, "Hey, so and so's going to be at WrestleMania." I'm like, "Oh, I hadn't heard that name in a while." So I'd get the scoop on maybe WrestleMania.
Yeah,
maybe their other 3 major events a year: SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble.
Yep.
But to watch it weekly,
no. You weren't keeping up.
Then about 2015, or maybe 2016, I used to DVR or record it.
Yep.
Now I'm getting it off Hulu.
Yeah, yeah.
But I watch weekly now their Monday Night Raw program.
Yep.
And their Friday Night SmackDown.
Gotcha.
And
so you're as up to date now as you have been.
I'm up to date, but I miss that Attitude Era, brother.
Yeah.
That was, the NWO over there on WCW.
Yep.
Lit a fire under Vince's ass. And
yeah, when they had their heyday.
Oh yeah,
it did, and I wasn't even a huge fan at that time.
Yeah.
But it did make me wonder: are WWE's days numbered?
Oh yeah, Vince pulled the water coolers out there.
Yeah,
times got that tough.
Yeah,
no coffee machines.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he'll spend $3 million and bring Mike Tyson in.
Right.
But
he looks at that as an investment in the future,
and it worked
of the business.
It definitely worked, brother.
It seems to outside people, it's a publicity stunt.
Yeah,
but it's an entertainment company. Publicity stunts are their business,
right? Yeah, you got the eyes from other industries.
Yeah,
the all different sports world was then like, what the heck?
Yeah,
what's he gonna do? But Vince had to up his game. I think it was in '96 or '97 that they did a tour over in Germany.
Yeah,
and they came back, and Vince was watching the show, and it was terrible.
Yeah,
it was all the stuff that worked before your characters.
Yeah.
The Doink the Clowns, the TL Hoppers of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just goofy stuff that worked when you're little.
Yep.
But them same little kids that like the product, now we're teenagers.
Yeah.
We're like, this is BS. So he invited everybody in the room, and he said, he held up his Monday Night Raw magazine.
Yeah.
And he said, this is what I want our product to be.
Yeah.
He looked across the room, Vince Russo, which was their publication right over the magazine.
Yeah.
He became their main booker.
Okay.
And Jim Cornette, Jim Ross, Bruce Pritchard was not happy.
Okay.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
They were from the old school. Bruce Pritchard currently is helping book Vince's product.
Okay.
Cornette just said, the hell with it. He's doing fantastic, though. He's got his own deal.
Yeah. Outside of the business?
He's got a podcast.
Okay.
And he's got his shop, Jim Cornette, the drive-through. You can pick that up.
Okay.
In your podcast you find.
Okay.
Including this one, Jim Cornette's Experience. But
Gotcha.
But yeah, he and that's another story for another day about him and Vince Russo's hatred.
Okay.
It ain't pretty, brother.
Yeah, it got ugly.
It's bad. Russo got a restraining order on him.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cornette was living in Louisville and Russo in Evansville.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting.
That alone could be your WrestleMania main event. If you could get the two together, but it ain't going to happen, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But, so Russo started booking, and he takes the credit. But there's also two cats that's about to appear or really become predominant, and that's Dwayne Johnson.
Okay.
The Rock.
Yeah. So this is before he even, I mean, maybe he's wrestling some minor league or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's not burst onto the scene yet.
No, he's a young Rocky Maivia
Gotcha.
at this point. About 96. He debuted Survivor Series 96.
Yeah.
And then stunning Steve Austin from WCW.
Yeah.
He got fired by FedEx from Eric Bischoff.
Okay.
And he was basically like, these black boots, I can't market this.
Yeah.
So Paul Heyman, owner of ECW at the time, he said, Steve, and Steve was legitimately hurt. His knee was hurt.
Yeah.
And he said, how'd you like to be on how'd you like to be on ECW television? And Steve said, hell, Paul, I can't wrestle. He said, can you talk?
Yeah.
Steve said, yeah. So he goes over to ECW and cuts one hell of a promo on Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And good old JR, old Sassafras from Oklahoma.
Yep.
Jim Ross like, Steve, you want Vince? How about giving the kid a chance, right?
Yep.
And Vince brought him in. He said, "I got it, pal. You're going to be the ringmaster, and we're going to have the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase manage you."
Yep.
And that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But they all knew Steve had something.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a stage presence, I'm
He had
sure,
something.
already at that point, to where they obviously just hadn't figured out how to tweak it yet.
And so Russo's doing the booking. You got Rocky Maivia coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And the ringmaster, Steve Austin, is about to change.
Yeah.
And his wife from England was over there, and he said, I can't think of this damn name I want to be.
Yeah.
And she said, Steve, hurry up and drink that tea before it gets stone cold.
Yeah.
He said, I got it.
Yeah, yeah.
He said, Vince, he said, what do you think about Stone Cold Steve Austin? Ha ha, I love it, pal.
Yeah.
Rest is history, brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Rest is history.
So then they came up with the new character that sort of fits the name.
Yeah, and at WrestleMania 13, I hate to jump around, but meanwhile, over at WCW, the NWO is expanding. It's getting too big.
Yeah.
It's getting way too big, bro. Every time you turn on TV, they got a new member.
Yeah.
Keep it small. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Have them 3 guys that started it. Hall and Nash, then Hogan.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, they turned him bad. That was brilliant for business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. That had up Vince's game.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, over there, they tried this idea. All of a sudden, there were some fans booing Bret Hart, but there were some fans cheering the heel Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
So at Rosemont Horizon in WrestleMania 13 up in Chicago, my cousin, he got to go to that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Would have been so awesome. They did what they called a double turn that night.
Yeah.
Bret Hart came in as the baby face.
Yeah.
Steve Austin came in as the heel. When it was all said and done, most of the people in Chicago was booing Bret.
Yeah. They turned them both.
Most of them was cheering Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And then later, he'll have that famous speech at King of the Ring, and he'll say the crazy line. He's cutting a promo on Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yep.
And Jake the Snake had just found religion. And earlier that night, Austin been cut open bad.
Okay.
And he had to get the stitches in. Comes back to the arena and he grabs Michael Hayes. He said, what Jake say about me whenever I was gone?
Yeah.
He said, it's cool, Steve. He said he cut a religious promo.
Yeah. So Austin's coming out of that. They're cheering for him. And that probably sets the stage for...
Yeah.
Okay, not only is he going to be big, which we already suspected, now he's got the momentum of the crowd going into next week.
Yeah, I mean, like... That promo at that King of the Ring.
Yeah.
That's... It was off the charts.
Yeah, yeah.
Michael Hayes, he said he cut a religious promo on you.
Yeah.
And Steve said, I got it. And he goes out there, he wins the King of the Ring, and he says, Jake the Snake Roberts, he said, you talk about your Psalms.
Yeah.
You talk about your John 3:16s.
Yeah, yeah.
Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the next night on Raw.
Yeah.
1/10 of the crowd had an Austin 316 sign.
Are you serious?
Yeah, at least.
That it was that quick.
Yeah, Austin 316.
They were on board that like this is our new guy.
Yeah. And I'll tell you when I knew he was my favorite, when I met him.
Yeah. You showed me the picture before.
Yeah, we was at the God bless Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman, they had a memorial for him. Heartland Wrestling Association did.
Yeah.
Local territory out of Cincinnati. And they brought in some big names from WCW, ECW, WWF. And so we're standing in line, and Austin's over there, and he was one of Brian Pillman's best friends.
Okay.
And remember, I was a Warrior Mark.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Mark is when you're ate up with it, when you're a super fan of something. And we're standing in line, and my buddies, Chris, Chad, and Ron, I can't remember which one of them, but they said, "Chris, are you okay?" I was shaking. Yeah. And I said, "Man, something's weird.
I don't know if I'm ready for this."
and they were just like, they act like they were meeting Joe Blow.
Yeah.
You know,
it was no big deal.
Goofy truck drivers.
Yeah.
You know, that we know. And I go up to him, and I said, "Mr. Austin," I said, "can I put my arm around you in this photo shoot?" Yeah. And Darius, he looked me up and down, and he said, "Son, I don't give a damn what you do." I was like, yes.
That made your day.
He's been my favorite since, brother.
Yeah. He won you over.
Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's going to be so neat seeing him back at WrestleMania.
Heck yeah.
Stomping a mud hole in Kevin Owens' ass.
You know they're going to write a hell of a show around it.
Yeah, it's going to be really good.
Yeah, he's going to be 120% of his old self.
Oh, yeah.
That's so awesome.
You know, the wrestling, hate to be that guy in the room, it can come and go.
Yeah. Well, they have to have dry spells. Any good show does.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at any really popular show, and there are times where the writers are obviously struggling.
Yeah.
And it's just not super compelling.
Right.
So why would they be exempt from that? They need good writing just as much as any other entertainment company.
Yeah.
And there's going to be downtimes.
Exactly. But yeah, that horror, I've hung with it since 85 or 6.
Yeah. So
it had a slow spell.
You've always found, though, enough that you like personally. Mm-hmm. Even through a period where maybe the new releases aren't that great.
Yeah. But, you know, it had a dry spell as well.
How long was that roughly?
Well, I think we kind of peaked out in the 80s, the slasher film era.
Yeah.
With your Freddy's, Jason's, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
By the way, I might have said this earlier. Jason Voorhees, the villain from Friday the 13th, is the man.
Yeah.
Was Freddy darker? Probably.
Yeah. It was a different feel, and for whatever reason, Freddy, I personally found more scary than Jason. Now, they were both great and they're both gripping.
Yeah.
But I think that's sort of the beauty of all this stuff, is it like everybody has got something that speaks to them more than another product.
Absolutely.
It just ends up for me. Dude, Freddy, I mean, there were like some of those movies would come out and I wouldn't watch it until 2 or 3 years later because I'm like working up to, I know it's going to scare the shit out of me and I'm not sure I'm ready to watch it yet. Well, so Freddy was terrifying to me.
Here's the difference in them guys, Darius. You can avoid Camp Crystal Lake and not go.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
You got to go to sleep, brother.
Yeah.
That's
you're right. You're right. No, knowing that he has basically a further reach.
Yeah,
is
you got to sleep.
It gets in your head more.
Freddy's gonna get you, bro.
Yeah,
but Freddy darker, okay, funnier. Michael Myers, okay, maybe a little more hip.
Yeah.
There's something about Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
You can't kill him.
Yeah.
And on the badassery thermometer, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's okay. One last deal of wrestling. He's the Haku of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Of wrestling.
Right.
It's Jason F. Voorhees, bro.
He's it.
Yeah. So I love his series. Absolutely the best. Not the scariest.
Right.
Just love it. You know.
Yeah, they were still good. It's not like I hated watching them. I just didn't like that. That wasn't as likely to give me like bad dreams.
Absolutely.
As the as the Freddy stuff.
We've got a lot to appreciate about Friday the 13th. Those debuted the year we were born.
Yeah.
1980.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, well, sorry, fans, this Jaws shirt, I can't tell you. I think this is 78, 76, I'm not sure, but 1973 is a tremendous year. You had The Exorcist.
Yeah.
My opinion, not for me, but the greatest horror film ever.
Yeah.
Was The Exorcist. I think if you was a child, just like my nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
I watched that at 5, 6, 7. What if you're watching Exorcist at 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, that I can't even imagine because I was like in my teens when I first saw Exorcist.
Same here.
And it still, man, it got me.
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, the Exorcist, and then any of your fan bases, the IMDb's, any list that folks put, more than likely Exorcist is one.
Yeah.
Now, in recent time, I was talking about this darn Babadook. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hit and miss.
Okay.
A lot of folks like it. Me and my girlfriend Steph, not so big on it.
Okay, it's just all right.
But because a lot of other fans like it, I appreciate it.
Yeah. If it speaks to them, great.
But that would be a modern day classic to some. Not me. I'm not in that group. But the greatest of all time that most horror fans would tell you is The Exorcist.
Yeah.
1973. But I'll say a year came out a little slasher from East Texas called Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
By Tobe Hooper. That was his first horror film.
Yeah.
Skip a few years. You had great stuff in the 70s, but it was a lot of your British horror.
Okay.
A lot of Italian horror was really good. The States,
yeah,
it's kind of
just
downhill.
Hit and miss through there.
1978, John Carpenter has an idea. It's really simple. Mask, guy stalking, babysitter.
Yeah.
Boy, that didn't take much to think about that.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah.
It's called Halloween, brother.
Good execution.
It was Halloween.
Yeah.
Now your slasher films about to skyrocket.
So you think that sort of broke the way?
Yeah, absolutely.
To sort of wake the studios up towards.
Oh yeah.
Hey, they're ready for this.
They're wanting it.
Yeah,
they're wanting it. And then 1980, year we were born, brother. Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
That was really interesting because Sean S. Cunningham, he had worked and a lot of fans will know these names when we mention them. He'd worked with Wes Craven back in the early to mid 70s. They worked together on a movie called Last House on the Left.
Okay.
And Wes had already did. He did that might have been one of his first horror projects, but as you know, Wes Craven will be the brainchild of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
But anyway, Sean, don't want to go into a big spiel on this, but he wanted to do a movie, killer out by a lake, that kind of thing. And,
yeah.
And a lot of folks forget that the original killer is Jason's mom.
Okay, yeah.
And the whole concept of Jason, they show him as a child at the end of the movie, which is one of the most awesome shock scenes.
Yeah.
That in 1978's Carrie, the end of that, a lot of folks forget about that. They know about her on stage.
Yeah.
Causing hell, but that last scene at the cemetery is amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good shock scene. But, but Jason was kind of more or less an afterthought.
Yeah.
But later, he'll be the main one from parts 2 to, what are we up to now, 11 or 12 of the movies now.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was really good. But 1984, you're right. Wes Craven, Nightmare on Elm Street. He'd heard about this young boy over in, I think it was Japan, and he had night terrors.
Okay.
And it was so bad, the little boy cut his eyelids off.
Oh my goodness.
And that really got to Wes like anybody, like it would anybody.
That will grab you hearing a story like that.
And he said, there's something so scary that you don't want to go to sleep. Then he remembered a guy he knew when he was little, and he'd wear like that red-green sweater.
Yep.
And he kind of put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And that's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Which,
and that got him.
If you ask anybody in our time frame, 10 years old or 10 years younger, Freddy is scarier.
Yeah.
But the slow time. So they're cranking out all the sequels. Halloween 5. Friday the 13th, Part 7. All this craziness throughout the 80s.
Yeah.
Early 90s. And then just like the WWF or wrestling in general, sports entertainment, it's blah.
Yeah.
But then 2 things happen. Wes Craven comes off an awesome rendition of Nightmare on Elm Street 7, Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Okay.
That's really good because it wasn't like the previous ones. It was different. Freddy, that scary Freddy we got now, he's in real life, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, that mastermind came up with an idea called Scream.
Okay. So that's when that comes.
Scream comes out, it opens up the horror genre of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. This craziness. And he did a trick Hitchcock did back in 1960 Psycho. Hey, let's kill off the main character right in the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's really grab him by the cojones, right?
Yeah.
So you got a pretty professional seasoned pro in Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
She hadn't had a hit before. She's answering the phone in the beginning of Scream.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you want to play a game? The weird, the scary noise. Yeah, the masked dudes. And you think she's going to be there at the end.
Yeah.
Done in less than 5 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
So he hooked him, pulled him in.
Yeah.
Got him.
And it worked.
Scream is what we needed. We needed that. Then a young man named M. Night Shyamalan is about to set his sights high in this industry. And he comes out with, I think, an absolute gem, The Sixth Sense.
Okay. Yep.
I mean, I've seen Dead People
awesome.
Has been echoed for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think just that duo, some would say the Blair Witch Project.
Yep.
I would add that in that list.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
like that. But those three came in late 90s,
Yeah.
and from it, what it sprung,
Yeah.
man, it's been good.
Yeah, yeah.
It really
from
good.
that point on, obviously the money kept flowing.
Yes. Yeah. It's been real good, brother.
Yeah. So yeah. So we're talking about sort of like coming out of the heyday, or bursting into the heyday through that period. So the money's flowing. They're green lighting all these different projects, and good stuff is coming out of it.
Yeah. The some of my favorites was in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Your Final Destinations.
Yeah, those were great. I don't know that I saw all of them because I think they made a lot.
Yeah.
But I saw a couple of them, and they were awesome.
Yeah, my of course I'm like anybody else, but my fear of death,
Yeah.
to me, give me Freddy. Come
Yeah.
on, Freddy. Yeah, the Final Destinations, they were really good. Yeah, your Ring movies.
Yep.
What was some other really good ones around that time? Saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Saw and Halloween are leading the box office
Okay.
on overall sequels.
Yeah.
But just some really good ones. But before we leave today, I want fans out there, if they what's some go-tos, to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've asked you that. Because the reason we got on it recently is the kids haven't really seen anything really scary yet. We watched Independence Day, I think was our first. That was the first movie I showed them where it's a little bit scary. And and I was kind of testing the waters to see what did they think. They loved it, man. They lapped it up. So then I think I told you next step was we went to The Matrix.
Yeah.
I showed them that because I figured, all right, it's just a tiny step more towards being a little scary in parts.
Right.
And again, they got into it, not quite as much as Independence Day, but they liked it.
Yeah.
So then that made me ask you, I think that following week, I was like, all right, man, I need you to lay out like a starters list for me.
Yeah.
To teach these guys to really enjoy having a movie scare the shit out of you.
Right. And it's hard. It's hard to make that scary list and be kid friendly.
Yeah.
You're using two really good examples to use, and I'll definitely.
And those
I'll
are
be
obviously
thinking.
lightweight.
Yeah.
You're tiptoeing into scary.
Right.
With movies like that. They are, by and large, not considered scary movies. But when you're introducing a kid to the concept of letting a movie scare you,
right,
they're a good stepping stone.
Absolutely. Well, let me get back with you on the kid list part.
Yeah.
But I got
but yeah,
some
for the
good
adult
ones for
fans
adults
that just never got into horror because they tended to walk just right past that section in the video store back when there were video stores. What should they be clicking on Amazon or Netflix now?
Well, this is in no particular order, but some of my favorites ever is a lot of your horror anthologies. The original Tales from the Crypt, in the early 70s.
Yep.
There's two of them. The 80s, you got your Creep shows.
Yeah.
Creep Show 1 and 2 is outstanding.
I think I only saw one of those. I don't even know which one, but it was scary.
Yeah, those are the Creep shows are scary and fun.
Yeah.
And when you can balance that act, that really makes for a good entertainment.
Yeah. That makes me think of like the Gremlins.
Yeah.
Where you've got a nice bounce between funny and then scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
and then have a good laugh, and then scare the shit out of you.
In fact, I would introduce the kiddos soon. To that.
Yeah. Because it's like it gives you a break from squeezing the edge of your chair.
Right.
And you have a good laugh.
Oh, yeah. But I like horror anthologies because you don't sit there for 3 hours on this one topic.
Yeah.
And I like the stuff short and sweet. Let's get on it.
Yeah, and sometimes somebody writes just a really awesome short story that's scary.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to take a 3-hour movie to dramatize it. You can knock it out in 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are really good. But then there's the ones that ain't talked about as much, or maybe they are. But I go back to... I think this was early 2000s. Identity.
Yeah.
Identity. What I like about it is we all love a twist at the end.
Of course.
Identity hits you with 2 of them, and that don't happen much.
Yeah.
And so,
and I for the record, I didn't see it. So this is the first time hearing about it.
Yeah, Identity, I highly recommend for fans. It's, I don't know, it's just awesome.
Yeah, just good execution. All the way around.
Yeah. This one has a little twist. I also recommend Triangle.
Yep. That one I'm familiar with the title, at least. I'm not sure if I saw it though.
Yeah, group of young friends go out on a yacht.
Okay.
And let's just say they should have stayed on the land.
Yeah.
and this guy here has he's not even in their ballpark.
Mm-hmm. It's much
the
better.
Villain in Triangle is off the charts.
Nice.
Also in kind of recent, more modern time, movie called It Follows.
Okay.
It Follows worked for me because you get some throwback from the 80s.
Yeah.
With the kind of the soundtrack, the theme that's going on in the background. You've got there's this eeriness to it that it's about like almost all horror, very dark.
Yep.
But It Follows.
Yeah.
Just trust me on that, fans. Those are really good. I mentioned Babadook earlier. A lot of the fans liking Babadook. I personally liked Midsummer.
Yep.
It's kind of like The Wicked Man meets... I don't know. It's like Wicked Man in modern day time.
Yeah.
It's a cult type thing. I mean, they're just... Oh, what was the one, Darius, that I'd mentioned to you before? Of course, any of Stephen King's work.
Right,
right. All those adapted for, TV movies.
Yeah.
Not all of his is very good.
Right.
Most are.
Right.
His biggest movie, believe it or not, was came out in 90, I think, Misery.
Okay, yeah,
for
that's
box
right.
office.
That was huge. That got going, and man, it got popular.
Yeah, and a lot of that is due to Rob Reiner and the casting folks.
Yeah,
because you took a badass tough guy in Jimmy Caan.
Yeah.
And a nice, sweet little lady in Fried Green Tomatoes, Kathy Bates.
Right.
He said, "Why don't we flip
Why don't
them?"
we flip them around?
And
See how.
If you watch Fried Green Tomatoes and then go to Misery, you're going to be shell shocked.
Absolutely.
And everybody,
Yeah, I don't think anyone told me ahead of time.
No.
That's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
They just said, "Oh, this is great. You're going to love it."
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they hit play.
yeah. But to have James Caan as the baby face, here we go, wrestling terms
Yeah.
again, and Kathy Bates the heel.
Yeah. Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked, brother.
Yeah.
And and then talking about Stephen King stuff, his scariest one that he thought that they did for a movie was Cujo.
Okay.
He thought that was the scariest one that they had did from his books.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah.
Cujo's good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an old classic. That's 1983 right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, most your Stephen King stuff is very good.
Yeah. Yeah. They're great stories.
They are.
Just in general.
They're really good. Everybody says the books are better. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't got the patience or time to
Right,
be reading a
right,
1,300-page
But
novella.
having seen the movies, you
Yeah.
get that. Okay,
They're
that
good.
same dude thought all these up.
Right.
Okay, he's good.
Right.
Yeah, he's
I just tell folks, hey, check that out. I mean, Darius, now you promoted one for me that is really mind bending, edge of your seat, and that's the Netflix series Black Mirror.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because
And-
that kind of fits into your whole anthology idea.
Yes.
Sort of good, scary short stories, but spending a few bucks on it.
Yeah.
Good production quality.
And fans, I can tell you out there, there's one or two Black Mirrors that's off the charts.
I agree. There's a couple, and the nice thing is they're varied enough that it might be these two grab this person,
Right.
These other two grab this person. Like you may not have the same favorite episodes as your friends,
Exactly.
but there's gonna be one or two, whoever you are,
Yeah.
that are gonna leave you a little bit shaken.
Yeah. It's,
when you finish them.
I think they even say it in its description. It's Twilight Zone today or in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah, but those are some solid titles
yeah
that you can say, all right, if someone has always skipped over horror,
sure.
Start with those, and if they grab you, well, hell, at this point, we got the algorithm to guide us, right?
Yeah.
So if you start watching those on Netflix or Amazon Prime, the algorithm will grab on and start showing you other classics.
Yeah. And there's another one I forgot to mention was The Strangers, the original, Liv Tyler. It's fantastic, in my opinion. Or 1408.
Okay.
1408.
Okay.
That's
a
the
good
one I told you about 3/4 away. There's a scene when he looks out the window of this hotel, bro.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But But fans definitely check out some good old scary.
I think near the top of the list for me, because I haven't seen obviously nearly as many. You've watched like all of these series. On most of those series that we've talked about, or the sequels and everything, I only watched like one or two of those through the whole. So obviously my pool of experience is a lot more shallow. I do think though that like the first one that I loved how it scared the shit out of me, like where I enjoyed the whole experience, was, I think I've told you before, Brain Scan.
Yeah.
And my brother, he was dating a girl at the time, and she had it on video, and she brought it over, and so we all watched it together. And that was the first one where it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And I loved every second of it. And I went on to watch it like 2 or 3 more times that same weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just wanted to do it over and over, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
And that, for me, that was, like really pivotal.
Yeah.
That I enjoyed being scared like that so much more than I had prior. And a lot of it was probably age. I was just at the right age where I wasn't necessarily worried about having a scary dream tonight.
Right.
Based on it.
Yeah.
It was like it scared the hell out of me, but then we turn the lights on and it's over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I kind of want to do that again, like a good roller coaster.
Yeah. Was that Cronenberg that did that?
That I don't remember. I think I did actually look into it a little at the time because I wanted to know like who made this, like who wrote this. Like I was interested. At this point, though, I've really forgotten all the details of who wrote it and who directed it.
Yeah, that explosion though.
Yeah,
That was something.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Well, man, this has been awesome. We
it sure has, brother.
I wanted to cover both the horror and the wrestling stuff.
Yeah, right.
We got a little taste of both.
Yeah, I apologize to fans that didn't give it just do justice. But
it'd be awesome if
it's
we could go for
things they can think about.
It'd be awesome if we could go for 10 hours, but we can't. So
Right.
we got to hit the highlights.
Yeah. But I thank you for having me, brother.
No, you're welcome, man. This was
maybe
fun.
we can do this again.
Well, if nothing else, we need to get the whole wrestling podcast started that we've talked about for years now.
Yeah.
We got to get that off the ground.
Oh, that's be some good times, brother.
There's a
no
lot
doubt.
of big wrestling fans out there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, no problem.
Take care of yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think? To me, it seems obvious. Like, you can just see, like, oh my goodness, yeah, having a random conversation at work with this guy or a long one while you're driving down the road would be very fun. I love the time I get to spend talking to Chris. We're both busy these days. We don't actually get to do it as often as we like. But once in a while, we do make the time. On a weekend or just some random weeknight, we'll set aside an hour or two to catch up. Anyways, I hope you guys like this episode, and I promise there's more to come. I have recorded a few more this summer. I just need to set the time aside to edit them. So as quick as I can, I'll start trying to get a few more out. I hope you guys are doing well, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube or your podcast app of choice to catch new releases. Episode notes along with behind-the-scenes media can be found on our website at campubelpodcast.com.